Now, Philip Shaibu, who was recently reinstated as Edo State Deputy Governor by the courts, has officially joined the All Progressives Congress from the People's Democratic Party. The Deputy Governor returned to the APC alongside prominent members of the Dan Orbih-led Legacy group of the PDP, said it was back to add value to the party. It defected during the APC Edo State's inauguration of the National Working Committee of the Edo Governorship election meeting held on Saturday. The meeting had in attendance the former governor of Kano State and national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, including the governors of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, and Cross River, Governor Basi Otu. Now, joining us on the news to discuss this issue further is Elvis Asia, a legal practitioner. Thank you so much, Elvis, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
To start with, do you think that the return of Philip Shaibu alongside the PDP Legacy Coalition members in his company back to the APC Edo State will pull some weight in favor of the party in the coming gubernatorial election?
Well, quite frankly, there's no doubt about that. Philip Shaibu was, largely responsible for the success that Obasanjo recorded in the elections, particularly during the second term. So to a large extent, it's going to have some impact in terms of boosting the chances of the APC candidates in the election. So I have no doubt whatsoever that that's is going to have some impact. Although we have to also look at it from the point of view of the kind of candidate the APC has. I think people seems to be wary of the candidate in terms of whether or not he has the intellectual depth, intellectual capacity.
Hello, Elvis. I think we just lost communication with Elvis Asia right there. We'll try to see as much as possible to bring him on. All right, I'm told that he's back online. Elvis, you were concluding on the political depth of Shaibu and the weight he can pull in the gubernatorial election that is coming up in Edo State. I'd like you to conclude on that before we look at the legal perspective to it.
Yes, I was saying that, yes, whilst there's going to be some impact in terms of boosting the chances of the APC in the election. But again, you have to look at the general picture of the APC currently. They have a candidate that seems not to have the intellectual capacity and depth to be governor. And that is, something that the Edo people are seriously concerned about. But in terms of political movement, political activities for the APC, the action of the deputy governor in joining the party is really make some impact. Yes.
Okay, you're a legal practitioner, Elvis. According to what we read, the Edo State government blames Shaibu for allegedly attempting to execute a judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, for which a stay of execution had been filed and an appeal entered into. So does that mean that he can't, for now, still be regarded as a deputy governor since the case is still legally hanging?
Well, legally speaking, when a judgment is delivered and a party files an appeal and also requests a stay of execution, the general understanding is that the judgment will remain in abeyance until the Court of Appeal makes a decision one way or the other. But in this particular case, there are some questions, because the PDP, the House of Assembly started saying they filed a stay from the date of the judgment, which was not correct, because the judgment was delivered very late in the day. It wasn't possible for them to file a stay on that day. And from the document I have seen, it appears they filed a stay the following day. But as it stands now, quite frankly, now that they are filed, it's expected that you wait till the Court of Appeal decides one way or the other on the question of whether or not to stay the judgment, because an appeal does not automatically amount to a stay, and the courts would consider a lot of factors in deciding whether or not the stay should be granted. And in this particular instance, ordinarily, I don't know whether the court will consider granting the stay, but you have to wait until the court decides before you can go ahead to take the benefits of the judgment.
You're saying that an appeal does not automatically mean a stay on execution. I'd like you to expand on that, because we need to have a concrete, understanding of that. We see that the presiding judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja, that is James Omotosho, nullified the removal of Shaibu as Deputy Governor of Edo State, saying that he still remains the deputy governor. Now, the state government is saying that, there is an appeal being tendered and a stay of execution on this particular matter. So we need to have an understanding of what or where the court judgments in terms of ruling and constitution actually means, or what it's been interpreted to mean when you talk about a verdict by a federal high court, a stay of execution, and an appeal. We need to have an understanding of that.
The way it works is that when the judgment is delivered, the party against whom the judgment is delivered typically, in most cases, want to appeal. Then you file a notice of appeal. Legally speaking, that appeal that you have filed does not amount to a stay. It doesn't mean that the judgment cannot be enforced. Okay. The judgment, in fact, can be enforced even when you have filed your notice of appeal. But however, when you now, apart from filing a notice of appeal, also file an application for stay of execution, and then transmit the records of the matter from the court that delivered judgment to the Court of Appeal. The understanding, legally speaking, is that the judgment will not, you can't, the beneficiary of the judgment cannot take the benefit of the judgment until the court decides whether or not to grant the stay. Okay. So, to some extent, those who are saying that Shaibu cannot enforce the judgment as it stands, may be right. But I have to also mention that the nature of the judgment that was delivered in this instance is actually a declaratory judgment, and it's very difficult for the court to grant a stay of a declaratory judgment. But, whichever way you look at it, the court will have to decide first before you can go ahead to begin to enforce it.
Okay, now, the APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, who inaugurated the campaign council, said that the defection of Shaibu and others have already given 30% of Edo, has already given 30% of Edo government into the hands of the APC. So is that an empty rhetoric to actually taunt PDP in the states? Do you see it as such?
It is not. Don't forget that the current governor, was given, a room in the PDP to survive the political onslaught of Adam Shomole, in the last election. He was, sort of thrown out of the APC. And so the PDP gave him some support. Before he came to the PDP had the structure. PDP had, very prominent people in Edo State who were winning elections. They were winning senatorial elections, they were winning House of Representatives election. But when he got in, he sort of, with due respect to him, became, he wanted to take over the whole thing, and the process, became a problem for the PDP. And so what they call the legacy members of the PDP, those people he met in the party before he came, they are quite not happy with him. As a lot of them have now joined forces with other political parties. We have seen the case of Shaibu and others who have now joined the APC. So in a way, it is going to deplete the ranks of the PDP in the state. And quite frankly, it's going to affect the chances of the PDP in the election.
Okay, so finally, Elvis, before I let you go, this issue around cross-carpeting trend with, political figures at will, without any form of consequences and all that, do you think is actually good for Nigeria's democracy? I mean, some people have actually said that there should be legal consequences for situations like this. But then how do you see it?
Well, unfortunately, under our law, cross-carpeting is only an issue for people in the House of Assembly and the National Assembly. The legislators, so when you cross-carpet, it's, constitutionally, you lose your seat, particularly when, there's no problem in the party whilst you are leaving. But for executive positions, like the case of Shaibu, there's no law that prevents him from leaving the party for another party. You recall the case of Atiku versus Obasanjo, in those days where Atiku left, and the Supreme Court even made a decision that he had constitutional right to freedom. He has freedom to move to any political party of his choice. He can decide to pitch tent with any political party of his choice. And so there's no legal restriction, but it's a moral question, because I believe that if you have been sponsored by a political party to win an election, it actually doesn't make much moral sense for you to abandon a party halfway and then take the benefits of that victory to another political party. I think the laws should perhaps in the future, expand beyond just the legislators and begin to look at it, look at all elective positions, because political parties invest resources, invest, manpower into winning elections. So it will make sense, for example, as a governor, after winning under a particular platform, you leave that platform to join another one. There should be some consequences, but as it stands now, there's none.
All right, Elvis Asia, a legal practitioner, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.